This video is SQL tutorial for beginners. If you want to learn to job in data analytics or data science, you need to know SQL. If you're new to this channel, I'm Karina. I have transformed my career from finance to data, and I help others to do the same one step at a time. Let's begin. To work with SQL, first of all, you need to install SQL Server on your machine, but you also need to install IDE or Integrated Development Environment to access your SQL. If you have Windows machine, then you can download SQL Server Management Studio. It is the easiest way. It is completely free. Since I have Mac computer, I can't work with SQL Server Management Studio, but I work with mySQL. In this tutorial, I will be using mySQL Workbench. I already have a couple of datasets in my SQL, but I want to upload a file with you. On Kaggle.com, I found this dataset called Brazilian e-commerce public dataset by OList. You need to download it on your machine. And then we need to upload those files to mySQL. And then we will be using those files as our database. In SQL, you can either create your own tables, your own data, or you can upload some files, for example, Excel files, and work with them. To upload a file into SQL, first step, you need to create a new schema. In mySQL, we need to click here. You need to give a name to your schema, for example, e-commerce, and then I will keep everything as default. So we say apply, and here we also click apply. Now, new schema was created. You can see it here. If you click on it, we have tables, views, stored procedures, and functions. In my case, it's all empty because we've just created this schema. Now we will upload several of our files. When you do right-click on your schema, there are several options. And the option that we need called Table Data Import Wizard. Click on that. And now you need to indicate the path to your file. So we click Browse. That's the file that I downloaded. For example, we will upload this OList customers dataset. We're selecting this one, click Open, Next. It asks if you want to use existing table or create a new table. I will create a new table. Here you can select in which schema we will be uploading to e-commerce. And here you can rename some datasets. For example, I don't like OList, I don't like dataset, so it will be called customers. Next, here you can select encoding. You can select which columns you want to upload. Maybe you don't want all the columns. And here you can also change the field type. Our custom ID is text, unique ID also text. So it looks like everything text. This is a time when you can change the field type. For example, if you have sales, you can change it to integers or floats instead of having text. We click next, next, and then we just need to wait for the data to be uploaded. Once it's done, we click next, finish. So now if we click refresh, to click refresh, you can see this little button. Let's click refresh. Now in our tables, we have customer tables. So if you click here, you can see what columns we have, name of our columns, and then foreign keys, triggers. I will not talk about it today. To view the data, we say select. When you want to select everything without any details, we use star. Then you need to say from, because we are selecting it from a specific table. So we use from. And now we need to indicate the scheme and the table. It will be e-commerce dot customers. By default in MySQL, we have a limit, and we will talk about it in a second. And to run your query in MySQL, we need to click this one. And you can see at the bottom, this is the result. And here in action output, it says that 100 rows were returned. Why 100? Because here we have limit to 100. For example, we had no limit. If it removes it and say don't limit and rerun this query, that will display all 99,000 rows. And that can be a problem if your database is huge, especially if you're working for retail companies, something online, where it is gigabytes of data, there are billions of rows. So by running this line of code, you will kill the server. That's why we need to use limit at the end. So you can display only 10 rows of your data just to view how it looks, or 100 or 1,000. But try to avoid running select stuff from without a limit, because if the database has a lot of rows, it will definitely impact the performance, it will be slow, and it will affect the whole server. So to add this limit, we can either use it as a keyword. So we say, for example, limit 10. Let's rerun it. And you can see that this helped us to display only 10 rows. So we returned only 10 rows. I can change it, let's say, to limit 100. Let's rerun it again. You can see now 100 rows were returned. Or other option in MySQL, you can change the limit of rows. I by default have limit to 50. I prefer it this way. So I know that if I run select star from some specific column, I will not get all the rows and it will not be slow. So now we see the names of our columns, and instead of selecting all the columns, we can say specific columns we want to select. For example, we want to select customer ID and a customer city. So we need to remove our star because we don't need it anymore. And we will say customer ID. You can see that even screen pops up to help you to type faster, then comma, and then we say customer city. Let's rerun it, and this way we selected only 2 columns, and again in my case 50 rows because I have limit to 50 rows as a default option. Let's go back to our select a star and I will show you how to use where statement. Also, if you click here up and down, you can see we are sorting our data. In SQL, we have keyword where, and it is used to select rows based on a specific condition. For example, we have this column customer state with a specific value, and we want to select all the rows where customer state equals mg. So we need to add this word where. We say where what? We want our customer state equals, and then in quotes we say the value, or mg in our case. If it is integer, if it is a number, you don't need to use quotes around it. Since it is text, you need to use quotes. Let's run it. And now our data was filtered to display only the rows where customer state equals mg. Again, by default, I have 50 rows. Let's change it to don't limit because now we add in sourcing and filtering. So let's rerun it again. And now we can see we have 11,635 rows where the customer state equals mg. So we used equal sign, but if you want to say not equal, we use exclamation mark equals. So let's rerun it. Our result is 87,806 rows. So we now displayed all the rows where customer state is not mg. Another option how to do not equal is uses less than, greater than sign. Let's rerun it again, and you can see with this syntax we got exactly the same result. So it's up to you if you prefer exclamation mark equal or you prefer the syntax with less than, greater than. Another way to get exactly the same result to say where not. If we go back to our equal, when we said display all the customers where customer state equals mg, but this time we say where not. And let's rerun it. And again, we got exactly the same results. So you can see there are different options to get to exactly the same result. To combine our conditions, we can use SQL keywords and or. For example, we want to display all customers where customer state is mg and the customer city. For example, the city Montes Claros. So we say and customer city, and I copy it from here. Again, you need to say it in quotes, and let's run it. So now we displayed all the records where customer state is mg and a customer city is Monte Claros. And we can even add the third condition if you want. For example, we want customer zip code, and we will use this customer zip code. In this case, we got only those records where customer state mg, our customer city is Montes Claros, and our zip code is 39400. As I mentioned before, we also have or keyword. So let's go back to our states. I don't remember Brazilian states, so let's check where it's not mg. Let's run it, and we have SP, so I assume it's Sao Paulo. So we can say where customer state equals mg or SP. So we need to add or, and then customer or customer state equals SP. Let's run it, and now you can see that it gave us 53,000 rows, a lot, where customer state is either SP or mg. You can also combine all these three keywords together, so you can say something, this or that, and something. So we selected all the customer states where state is MG or customer state is SP, and let's add other condition, for example, and the customer ID is specific value. This dataset is not good for combination of and or, but we have what we have. So we'll take this or in the brackets, and then we say and customer ID equals, and then we will use a specific value from our database. Let's run it, and it showed us this customer, only this customer. Sometimes datasets can have missing values, and those missing values will be displayed as null. So we can check if there are any missing values using where is something is null or is not null. I don't think this data has any missing values, but let's have a look. For example, we will check if there are any missing values in zip code. So we will say where customer zip code prefix is null. And let's run it. 0. So there are no missing values, and if you say is not null, it will display you all the rows you have, but let's have a look. Yeah, it displayed us all the rows in our database. But sometimes some datasets have missing values. In this way, you can check it. Other way to select our data using the keyword like. The keyword like is used to select data that roughly matches the specified string. For example, we want to select all the data where customer city starts with SAU. So we say where customer city, like, then we use our quotes, then we will use 2% signs, and I will explain why, and we say SAU. Let's run it. And you can see that it displayed all the rows where the customer city has the word SAU in it, either Sao Paulo or São José. My Portuguese is non-existent, so I'm sorry if I don't pronounce something properly. So this percent sign matches any character around a given string. Like is combined with the operator's percent sign that matches any character around a given string, and underscore, which matches a single character. The way I've written my code, the word SAU can be anywhere in the sentence. I will do it differently. I will put actually PAU, like a part of Sao Paulo, and you can see that since I added this percent sign at the beginning and at the end, so there might be several characters before PAU and after PAU. That's why it returned me values where customer city equals Sao Paulo, or for example this Paulista, which has some characters before PAU and after. If I use it this way, I'm saying that my string should start with SAU. There should be no other characters at the beginning, but then we can have as many characters as possible after SAU. Let's rerun it. It didn't change much, but if I say, for example, SAU J, and let's rerun it, you see when I'm saying this way, I say that my string must start with these characters, and after that it can be anything. So that's why it matched with San Jose and this San Jose dos Campos, etc. And as I mentioned, operator underscore matches a single character. I can't come up with a good example here. For example, it starts with S and I don't know the letter, then I know it should be O, and then I use my percent sign. Let's run it. So this way I say that after S there should be only one character, which one I don't know, and then after that character it should be O. There are the cases when you need to use it, when you're trying to match two website pages names or product names or customer name, and for example you're looking for everyone called Mark and you know that Mark can be spelled with K at the end or C at the end, so you say Mar and then underscore for this either C or K or whatever character. You can see that we can use this multiple symbols in a query. I mean, we can use several underscores and several percent signs. You can even use it this way. So for example, we say that after S we have two characters, then space, and then P. Let's rerun it. You can see that all the values are Sao Paulo or Sao Pedro because we said S, then one character, second character, then space and P. Let's upload another data set so I can show you how to work with ranges. So we go back to our customers, right click, and again, table data import wizard. Let's upload a product data set. So we click in next, create new table. We will call it products. Next, it's asking, so this is the columns we have, product ID, category, it's all text. And then the next columns are all integers. I'm happy with that. Next, and let's run it. Next, finish. Again, we need to quickly refresh to see this new table. Now you can see that under tables we have customers and products. Now let's have a look at our products. So we say select star from, and this time we remove the word customer and just add products. Let's run it. So we have 32,000 rows, and that's how our data set looks like. And I will explain to you how ranges work. For example, we want to display all the products where we have more than 2 product photos. So again, we say where, and then product photos quantity more than 1. Let's run it. And you can see that product photos are more than 1. In SQL, we have the following operators. We have less than, greater than, or also less than equals to or greater than equals to. Next step, we want to see all the data where product photos quantity is more than 1 and less than 4. In this case, we will use our AND keyword, and we will just copy the name from here, so I don't need to retype it, and say less than 4. And you can see now we have only 10,000 rows. We see only the products where we have more than 1 photo and less than 4. We can change more than 1 to, for example, more than or equals 2, or less than or equals 3. And we again get all the products where product photos quantity is either more or equal to or less or equal 3. Another way to get exactly the same results is by using keywords between and AND. In this case, we say where product photos quantity between 2 and 3. And if we run it, now you can see all the product photos where product either equals 2 or 3. Again, with using AND, we can filter our data by several criteria by using keyword AND. For example, again, product photos quantity more than 3, and at the same time where product weight is more than 5,000. Let's run it. Okay, so now you can see we filtered our data by 2 criteria. So our product photos are more than 3, so 4. And if we sort it, or you can see that we even have products that have 20 photos, 19 photos, and our weight is all more than 5,000. Another keyword we will look at is order by. This keyword allows us to organize returned rows in a specified order. For example, we want to look at the heaviest product. So here in select, we will say product category, and we also want to see product weight. We are selecting it from our table, so we keep it from e-commerce.products. We want to order this data, so from largest to smallest, because we want to see the heaviest weight. Order by allows us to sort our data, so we will sort it by weight. And to get only 10 rows, we add our limit as we learned before, so limit 10. This will display only top 10 heaviest products. And you can see that by default, SQL sorts data from smallest to largest or in ascending order. So if you want to get data in descending order from largest to smallest in our order by, we need to say descending. For descending, we say DESC, so descending order from largest to smallest. Let's rerun it again. And this time we got top 10 heaviest products. You can also sort by several conditions. So for example, we want by weight in descending and then by photos in ascending. And I will also add my product photos quantity as the column we are selecting. Let's rerun it. And you can see that it sorted product photos in ascending order and product weight in descending. If you want both of our conditions in descending, let's say it this way, let's rerun. So what happens in this case? At first, SQL is sorting by product weight in descending order. So we get the heaviest, and you can see, for example, with this weight, we have only one item. But with this weight, we have several items. These one were sorted in descending orders from largest to smallest. In SQL, we also have aggregate functions, or count, average, minimum, maximum, sum. These functions allow us to perform their corresponding operations over multiple rows of data. Let's say we want to find the average product weight. So we'll keep it in our select statement, and then we say average, and we take our product weight in brackets. You don't need to have any space here. Let's run it, and it returns only one value, which is the average value of product weight. And you can see the name is actually average product weight. To rename our column, we need to say S, and then we use double quotes, not single quotes, because single quotes we use for string values. So for columns we use double quotes, and then you can say, for example, average weight. Let's rerun it, and you can see again we returned exactly the same value, but this time our column has a prettier, better name. If you want to round your average weight to 2 decimals point, we will use a round function. Around our average we use round, then taking it into brackets. Then we need to say how many decimal points we want. We want 2, so we say comma 2, and let's rerun it, and this time you can see we get our average value, which is rounded to 2 decimal points. To get maximum and minimum value, we will use respective max and min aggregate functions. So for example, we use max to get the maximum product weight. Let's run it, and that's the maximum weight. Let's change it to minimum. Our minimal weight is 0. We can also count number of products we have in our database. To count how many product IDs we have, we will say count a bracket in the brackets product ID, and the result is 32,340. If you want to check how many rows there are in our dataset, in our table, instead of product ID in these brackets, we will use star symbol. As you remember, star means everything. So let's have a look. And the same result, 32,340. This is how many rows we have in this table. Let's count how many category names we have. If we use it this way, let's run it, it says 32,340, so it counted every single row. But what if we want to check unique category names? For that case, we need to use distinct. In the brackets, we add the word distinct. And let's run it, and now we know that we have 73 unique product category names. However, overall we have 32,340, if I'm not mistaken, rows, and out of which 73 are unique. And count distinct is very important when you want to check how many unique customers you have versus how many overall customers, and that will give you understanding if you have any returning customers, because your unique number will be different, will be smaller than overall number of customers. That's it for today. Let me know if you enjoy SQL tutorials, if I should make more of them, and I hope to see you next time.